Welcome back, everyone, and this is Weekend Where's the Weekend podcast. It is episode number 5?
Yes,
we're already on episode 5.
How can you not count, man?
I don't remember.
I can't count to 5.
The time's been going on so well
You have
lately.
like 2 hands.
So?
You
You
can
only
count to
need
10.
1 for 5. You can count to 5 twice.
No, 5 more episodes. No,
Yeah,
5
I'm
more
missing a
episodes and
finger.
you get into trouble.
So, welcome back, everyone. Today we have me, your host again, normal, usual. I've been here for everything. So, my name is Z or Azizi, or Zinora. Some people might call me. It's my in-game name. And right with me,
Yes.
please introduce
yes. Hi,
yourself.
I'm Kai. I'm Kai. Part of the Weekend Warriors. Let's go.
Yeah, and we have our special guest for this hot afternoon.
Very hot afternoon.
Ethan and Ambrosine herself. So, you guys have, how are you guys doing? How's the weather?
It's bloody hot today, I can tell you that much.
Yes.
But you know what?
I mean, you lost your hair.
I lost my hair, I'm sweating like crazy. Oh boy. No,
Yeah,
but
and
the
the
weather's not too bad.
It's
It's a good sunny weather. We've had like crappy
How
rain
is
for
it
like the last few
good
days.
weather? Just now on the way here in my car, it was like 42 degrees.
Yep, that is not
Yeah,
good.
that is not good.
No, that's your car heating up, that's different.
Yeah, it's heating me up too. So everything is just
It's-
not going well today.
Whoa, bad day?
Bad day too.
Bad day today?
It's too early in the afternoon for me.
It's early in the morning.
I mean,
I
it's
almost
like
said morning.
It is no, it's 1.
It's only
Yeah.
1:30.
It's only 1. No, it's only 1:20.
For gamers, you know this is too early in the morning.
Yeah.
This is what time we wake up, yes.
Yeah,
Hello,
this is-
gamers.
Yeah, this is the regular. Good morning. If you're just waking up.
I mean, for me, I would usually wake up at 2. It's gonna be usually a hit skip.
Yeah, but we're all working now, so let's go.
Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
responsible adults
We're
now.
getting more responsible day by day, you know?
yeah.
Like
So we're shaving an hour every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the topic of this podcast is mostly on you guys as commentators, how everything evolved from what you guys played back then, and then how the esports community and for commentators as well before and right now, because there's definitely been a shift from what we had. Let's not take it like decades. It's like 5 to 8 years ago. So
It is a decade ago.
Well, it's already 20.
Ethan, you have to cut him some slack. You can't count to 5. You can't go to a decade.
You can't go to
Yo, I
a
can
decade.
only-
You can't count to 5.
You got a problem there, buddy?
I just need to grow it back soon.
Like your hair.
You know, the thing is, when you came back, I was like, oh, Coco's pretty early. What happened to his hair? Why is he all... It's like you're very shiny today.
Yeah.
With all the sweat and everything.
Shining with brilliance.
Brilliance.
Brighter
Yeah.
than any future we might ever have.
Yeah.
Oh, especially with what we're having now.
Okay.
Okay, let's go start with the good old days of commentary. This is probably, for Brunei, I think it's 2010.
Ooh.
Maybe, yeah,
Decade
2000,
ago.
2010, no, maybe to 2011.
You know.
Commentary was a thing where everyone would watch tournaments back
Yeah.
in Brunei. So
Yeah.
this was back in the good old days of gaming. So we're talking about like 2010, 2011, where everyone's going to every cyber cafe. Like
Yeah.
there's a
Yo.
tournament going in, everyone's like standing behind the people. Then you're like cheering, go, yeah, someone's winning, and everyone's just watching the thing going, you think he's gonna make it all this?
Oh.
It's like, yeah.
He did
So-
thing.
Yeah, so these were the days, and technically commentary, but it's more like backseating commentary where everyone's just commentating on who they're watching the play.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, but I really hate backseat gaming.
no one likes backseat gaming,
No.
especially
But
if you're
you
the
But
black.
I do it. I
game,
know.
though. Yeah.
It's-
That's why we wear headsets to ignore you now. So anyway,
Yes.
People mute me on Discord.
Yeah, we do. That's so hard.
that explains a lot. So, and I think the first commentary that I remember was probably 2011 or 2012. Right? Yes, because I think there was supposed to be one in 2011. But I could be wrong. But
What was it for?
it was supposed. I think they were trying to have an ICC event.
Oh,
They-
okay.
No, I think it was TFFEA Con. So
The first one.
Yeah.
no,
Is it
not
this
the
one?
first one. So
I came to the second one.
there was TFF. I think it's 2011 and 2010.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I have to check.
It was like late Swan Storm.
This was when I got. This is when in League of Legends got pretty big in Brunei. So it's definitely 2010, 2011. And this was when we had a very, very small community. So people from the OG days, you would remember people like people would know Adib now. He's the coach for I guess
Sigma.
is Sigma still a thing?
Team Sigma,
Yeah, so
yeah.
Sigma
Yeah.
sort of thing.
there's Adib who's still coaching. Then there's the OG like Kelvin. There's Kwang. all these other people that from all the OG days.
I feel
And
like
we
the
used to talk a lot
OG
about
days
about strategy and everything.
were Jap Hub days.
No. This is before
No,
Jap Hub.
this
Really?
is
This
before
is even
Jap Hub.
before Jap Hub. This is
What?
like
I was
when
on
Jap Hub was a thing. You know the team as Crimson Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Before that, it was Team Lezer, Brunei Badgers, TFFU, RSK, sponsored by Red Spade Crisis, then TFFU, and then some other teams like that. But these were like the old
Yeah.
days. These were like really old days.
OG.
And then
Yeah.
we were talking about a lot of strategy, and they're like, "Hey, you know what? If we have a tournament, you should try and maybe do a casting thing."
Right.
So that's what we wanted to do in EACon. I think it's 2011 or 20.
Yeah. Is it the one
But-
in B Plaza?
No,
It was the one in Kila Plaza.
Oh yeah, Kila Plaza.
Yeah,
one.
Yeah, it was the one in
next
Kila
to,
Plaza.
Like the department shop.
So what happened was they wanted to actually have commentary, but the thing was the setup became really. The setup was all the pieces at the back and commentary
Yeah.
was supposed to be in the front, right?
Yeah.
But because of on-stage shenanigans, like most things right now, you need either two stages or it needs to be the main event. And
Right.
back then, EACon, right, was more of an event for cosplayers.
Yes,
and then,
it really
and
was.
then,
Yeah.
and then an event for gamers at the same time.
Yeah.
But the main was always for the cosplay, Japanese culture, and everything.
Yeah.
Which is not wrong. But so in that case, right, it made commentary really hard because if you wanted to do live commentary at that time, you would basically take over the whole venue,
Yeah.
Right.
right? And they didn't want to do that, so that kind of got cancelled,
Oh, that is unfortunate.
which is fine. But then the actual one that we're going to talk about is 2012. That's that was when Japs Hub became a thing.
Jap days.
Yeah, that was the Jap Hub days. This was when Brunei Telbrew introduced fiber to the home. This was this was Brunei's debut for fiber optics.
I thought it would be
No,
like
it is
It's
no,
Can't
it is
relate.
actually Brunei's debut for fiber.
I've always had fiber.
I had fiber in like 2017
No.
Okay.
because my area is like hilly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they couldn't get to us, even though like everywhere, like before and after our area, everyone got it except for us. I'm like, why are we not
Yeah.
special? Why did we get skipped?
Yeah.
Also, I can't relate to these topics as much
You're too
because
young.
I'm too young.
I know, right?
I would have been 10 at the time during this tournament.
2012, yeah.
We
Yeah.
were
Same.
14.
So it's just 2012, so like 8 years ago,
Yeah.
Thanks for
So
making me
8
feel
years
old,
ago.
guys. Anyway,
It's
so
okay. Because like most of the Jap Hub stories, I
Yeah.
remember like I was still relatively young.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it was
So-
about 2012, 2013. I forgot the year.
Young.
Yeah.
Young.
So like okay,
Shush
we
you
wanna...
all, I'm losing hair.
So you shaved it off. Calm down.
So 2012, 2013,
Yeah.
somewhere there.
Yeah.
I think if EACon was 2012, then this would be 2013.
Early or
Telbrew.
mid.
Yeah, somewhere there. So this is like late 2012, early 2013.
Right.
Then we had the Japs. We had a tournament that was officiated by Japs Hub. This was the first. This was in conjunction with Brunei with Telbrew introducing fiber to Brunei in general.
Mhm.
So in that tournament, that's when they say, "Hey, you know what? Hey, Ethan, if you're ready, let's go cast." So they invited me, and we did cast, but it was a weird setup because if you know Times Square, right?
Yeah.
Brunei Times Square, not international.
Bruh.
It's pretty small. So you set up the stage for PCs. You got 20 pieces in the center.
Yeah.
And then right beside that, you have a guy. You have like set up a live screen and everything, LCD panel.
Yeah.
Then you have a guy right beside it, casting games with a microphone. And you have like the 4 quad speakers, like
Oh.
the one that you use in a big event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the guys are like playing. You're like, shit, there's a guy casting with 3-minute delay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, League of Legends
3 minutes
delay is
yeah.
3 minutes by
Yeah.
default. So you have me screaming into the mic and commentating, and these guys are trying to play in game with a guy talking about what happened 3 minutes ago.
Yeah. Precisely.
Not the easiest thing to play, right? So we
Yeah.
did it for like the first 2 hours, and after that, I think we called it off more because prayer
People
time.
complain?
No,
Uh-huh.
prayer time got in, and then setup got complicated. We got a lot of guests coming in, not sure what's happening.
What's happening? Yeah.
So we did talk about the games for a while, and then after that, I think there was a complaint from higher up saying, we got to keep the noise level down. So then we were like, okay, we cut off the commentary, and that was it.
Yeah.
And that was 2012, 2013-ish commentary.
Was that your first debut?
That was my first Brunei debut, yeah, pretty much.
Oh, so when was your other debut? If that's like your Brunei debut.
No, I probably used to do a lot of talking. I did a lot of like public speaking, right? But in terms of like game casting debut, that would be probably the first.
Okay.
How about you?
I had my first debut in 2018. That was probably my very first casting. It was in cyber cafes. The first one I did was in a rainforest cyber cafe where they said, okay, Wani, we're gonna do a full day cast. So usually when you say full day cast, it's like probably one evening all the way to night or so on and so forth. My full day cast was from 10 a.m. to like probably 3 a.m. in the morning.
Hell yeah!
And I was the only one casting as well, so I lost my voice. And it was a 4-day tournament, so I'm just here like, can I get a break? Then they're like, well, if you get a break, we can't pay you because this is like based on hour. I'm just here like,
okay.
Okay, what about this? I cast one game, then one game break, then one game, and then one game break. Then they're like, yeah, that's fine. So I did that. I was approached by what is now known as eSports Association BN. The one of the higher ups approached me and asked me if I wanted to cast. Since I was a professional e-athlete before this, I was playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive for Team Unicats Brunei. So after I left the team due to personal reasons, I went on to like freelance, probably play other games with other players. But then when I got reached out for this opportunity here, I took it, and then since I have the knowledge of the game, might as well just like voice out what I think about the games, how the gameplays are, you know. It progressed slowly to my first big event, which was 2018 or was it 2019 Netcom's Times Square Cyber Games tournament.
Yes. I remember that.
So that was my first big event. So on Ethan's side earlier, he said it was too noisy and they had to keep the noise down. They said I was too quiet and they used the speakers around the shop. Initially, we were only using those portable speakers for us, and then we had like televisions, we had like what do you call this, projectors here and there, and then they said it wasn't enough, so I used the whole Times Square speaker. So even while you're shopping, you hear this random chick just screaming into the microphone.
Hey man, that would have been the dream. Oh shit!
To be broadcasted on the entire mall.
Yeah, so people were shopping, and then they were like looking at me. Even people who don't know about the game were screaming for me. I'm like, this is really awkward because this is my like first biggest event. Because usually cyber cafes, since I was a player back then, I would usually know the people in the cyber cafe. The community is quite small, so you would know almost everyone.
Right.
Then when it went to a really open space, it was quite like overwhelming to me. I panicked a bit. I'm like, I'm the only one sitting here. Everyone's just listening to my voice. I'm just here. I'm sorry if y'all want to just have a day out and just shop, spend time with your family. But it'll only be for a couple of days, so bear with me. Then it went to what was my biggest event to date, which is Tech Expo.
Right.
So I've casted Tech Expo once. And also the DST Carnivals tournament. I've done casting there, and then looking at the crowd, it was really, really a shock to see how much there are people actually coming over to see the esports industry here. You know, like seeing your families, your friends, relatives, everyone supporting you. It's a really nice feeling.
It's a nice heartwarming.
My mom doesn't support me still.
Really?
Every time she sees me in public when I'm casting, she just goes like, "That's not my daughter. I'm out." That screaming chick there, that's not my daughter.
I don't know who that is.
Who is?
Right.
So yeah, also aside from like casting on LAN, I've also done casting online. So for Rise of Legions tournament, where players would fly over to Jakarta, Singapore. I casted their games as well because they didn't have a caster and they requested one. So I was one for they called me.
You were on call.
Yeah, I was on call. It was 8 in the morning too.
Ooh, even earlier. At least we're giving it till the afternoon.
Yeah, but like it was at the comfort of my own home, you know.
Fair enough.
So I'm like, do we need a webcam for this? Then they're like, no. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm gonna cast in my pajamas. I'm just gonna sit. I'm just gonna relax.
Yeah.
And my mom was like knocking at my door. I quickly muted my mic. Then she was like, Wani, what are you doing up at this hour? I'm like, I have work, Mom. In your pajamas? Yes.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Let me see.
That's a dream, right? To work in your pajamas.
Oh yeah.
What? That's your dream?
I mean, it's
yeah.
a dream, you know,
To
just
be
to
able to
relax,
work
be
in
at home,
pajamas.
wear pajamas. Your pajamas are comfortable.
Oh, they are.
Super comfortable.
They are.
Mm.
See?
See?
Even you didn't disagree.
I don't really have to agree either.
You do you, friend.
Yeah,
do
I can
you.
only count to 9. So.
I can only count.
That's how many clothes he's owned over the years.
Oh, no.
man.
I hate. So anyway, that's. So you had 3 years ish of not two
2
yeah,
years.
2.5 years of good events. That's great.
How many?
No, because on my side, it sounds kind of crappy now. Because when was the tournament that you did? Was it 2013?
I don't remember.
The one that we were.
Yeah. When did I go to Pali?
That
14,
was
15,
2016.
16 or 17.
16, 17.
Oh, okay. So that's a
There's-
way. Hold on, that's a way different timeline. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
you were in a different timeline.
No, that's a way different timeline. So what
Yeah.
happened
Which
was?
which timeline were we in right
Hold
now?
on. So this is
Which
after.
universe?
This is after EA Con.
Snap.
This is
Post
after
snap?
TFF. TFF EA Con. Then this is
Uh-huh.
after Telbrew.
Yeah.
Then I left the country for studies. Right.
Yeah.
Where'd you
And
go?
then-
Where'd you go?
No, we can talk about that another time.
Oh.
But let's see. Hold on. So this was when Jep's Hub became like known at that time as the cyber cafe that was always hosting tournaments, and they wanted to create the commentator culture. They were the first group. So I believe it was Jonathan who was in charge of the cyber, and then you had Farhan,
Mm-hmm.
you had Fuad. I don't know if anyone remembers Fuad.
No.
But basically, it was like me, Fuad, and Farhan kind of thing, and we would host weekly League of Legends scrims, like friendly 5v5s.
Yeah.
And we would use that as casting
Practice.
practice. So like.
Friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
No,
everyone's
back then it was
Friendly.
actually
Friendly.
kind of friendly because it's like random people would just join in and then everyone.
Oh,
just
everyone just.
It wasn't like your 5 versus my 5. It was literally like, here's the lobby, join in, and then so that was the.
That's not how I remembered it.
This is legit. This is like legit OG, like old days where it's like, hey, we have a lobby that all the Brunei people come in.
Yes.
First come, first
Because
serve.
like I remember on Facebook,
Exactly.
everyone like random nights, everyone would just post like,
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
"Yo,
It'd be like,
is there a custom room
custom
tonight?
game tonight.
Okay, this is the
name,
password.
login,
Name,
password, and then
password.
people
Yeah.
just fly in, and it's like, all right, it's a pride battle. You know?
Ah,
So
man.
it used to be a weekly thing, and then Jab's Hub would cast from time to
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And then when I was free or I was around, then I would join into the venue and we would cast in the back room.
Mhm.
So sometimes it'd be Farhan casting, sometimes Fuad, sometimes it'd be me, sometimes there'd be two of us are free kind of thing. And so that was a weekly practice thing. But then eventually, like with most cyber cafes in Brunei, you kind of stagnate. because you-
plateau.
The problem with cyber cafes in Brunei is that you become a really good cyber cafe because you're new and you have everything good, and then afterwards people are finding a reason to keep going to your cafe because
Mhm.
it hits a point where everyone has all the computers are the same.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's nothing new about your cyber
Yeah.
cafe, right? So it becomes location and services you can still offer.
Yeah.
And Jobs Hub was the one where because they were the tournament hosters, people would keep going there out of.
have to.
You go there because you have to, and they
Yeah.
also sponsor I think 2 or 3 teams back then.
Mhm.
But then, what happened then? I think the Garena circuit kind of fell off. The Garena League circuit fell
Yeah.
off. Then
Yeah.
I was no longer invited,
Yeah.
and a bunch of other stuff. So I kind of went downwards.
Because I feel
Um,
like after there's a point in time where League of Legends like sort of died down.
In
a little
Brunei,
bit.
yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Because it's stagnated. So right after, I think this is 2014-ish, when basically when there's a lot of qualifiers that we could attend to, but either we had terrible Brunei, at the time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which meant that it doesn't matter what cyber cafe you played in, everyone would just be lagging, or like scheduling issues or whatnot.
Mhm.
And then
Because everyone was
it
playing in
eventually
everything.
died down. Exactly, and not to mention that as time goes by, people lose interest in the game. You don't want to practice as much. You
get tired.
you grow
burnt out.
up. You kind of grow up. You're like, oh, I'm 22. I'm 23 now. I need to find an actual job and everything.
You're not.
No.
Shush. But anyway,
Probably way over.
but as you know, for these people, that life is catching up to them. You gotta find stability, right? You're not a student anymore. You
Yeah.
gotta kind of work. So it was a schedule clash and everything.
Mhm.
So it kind of
Sure.
dissipated, right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So that was 2013, and that's when the casting, like tournaments in League of Legends specifically tournaments in Brunei, and the casting scene kind of just died down.
Yeah,
Right?
literally.
Because Jabs Hub with Farhan and everything, they tried their best to keep a lot of commentary happening. But once that Jabs Hub kind of died down and with the tournaments, then so did the commentary
Yeah.
die down. And there was like a good 1 or 2 year gap. And then
Yeah.
I think Jobs Hub tried to host a big tournament in ICC like years ago, like 6-7 years ago, probably. Like 20, like they had like basically what I think we know as best.
Best,
in ICC and like Tech Expo.
Yeah.
Like back then, they tried to have these big tournaments, and they wanted to do casting as well. And they called me when I was overseas studying, right? But it was a lot of complications in terms of like, all right, what about the delay? Are we looking at the same camera? Then you kind of realize, casting online is not the easiest job. If
It really isn't.
if multiple people are casting the same game at different locations, how do you share the same camera? So we scratched that idea, right?
Like
So
delay issues.
of course, delay issues, technical issues, a lot of things can happen, and a lot of things can go wrong. But they did do an event in ICC, I do remember. I believe they had a side stage. I'm not too sure of the details. I wasn't there, I wouldn't know. But this was like God long ago.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, up to 2014. And I think 2015 was like a really quiet year. Then we go 2016. That's when I came back to Brunei, and that's when that's when Cybertime started hosting a lot of tournaments.
Because at that moment in time, I think like I was one of the gaming club people in Polytechnic, right?
Yeah.
And then one of my friends was like, yo, we should join, we should go to cinema for inter college, so everyone like.
Weren't you part of hosting it as well?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's
Part
what
of hosting and like also playing at the game.
Yeah.
So it was like kind of
totally not rigged.
totally not rigged. But granted, my team was like current Team Sigma players, so they're all actually good. They carried me like so hard.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and then it was, I played like I think I was like jungling or something, and I know like I
Yeah,
made a
you
mistake,
remember.
and then one of them realized like, "Oi, no, stop doing that! See what are you doing? What do you think?" So I was like, "Calm down, it's just a game, bro."
Well,
and then like I got benched. I got
Of
you
course
go back
you
from your own
did.
team.
yeah, I literally got benched from my own team, and then I was
Yeah.
like, "What?"
That's when
And
you
then
know.
like I saw you, I was like, "What is that guy doing in a small server closet in the back of a cyber cafe?"
So let's go to that story. So that's 2016. That's definitely 2016.
That's like,
And then this was when Cybertime was hosting quite a few tournaments, and they asked me to cast, right?
yeah.
Prices were discussed and everything. We'll go to that later. But basically, they had a little server room at the back with like a PC.
Yeah,
So what we did was we kind of set up our own little private room, and we just closed the door, and then I would be casting at the back. I think we did it. It was a 3-day, 2-3-day tournament. So I was basically casting like all the games. It wasn't too bad, honestly. Like it was quite fun for me, especially. I haven't had a proper cast for like 3 years at that point. So I'm like, it feels great to cast again. Just talking. Then you join the room.
I was actually pretty.
Then you joined the room. Hold up.
Then you join the room.
Because like Sakai was like, oh, so like he's having fun with me. Just like
Sit down.
just sit there and look at him talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
I literally did that.
And then I'm like, you want to cast with me, bro?
yeah, he was like, sure, why not? I think like, why not, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because at that, I think if I remember correctly, at that time, when you're casting, like you said, when you're casting alone the whole day, you get pretty tired.
Yeah.
So you casted 4 days in a row. I casted 3 days in a row, which is equally bad.
Yeah.
Did you cast until 3 a.m. in the morning?
So that's a different story.
Do you have a mom yelling at you at 3 a.m. in the morning?
See, I don't have that, but the thing is, I was shouting until like for all 12 hours of cast.
Same. I had more than 12 hours.
It's not a
And my-
competition, guys.
And my mom was yelling at me, girl, you are not supposed to go out this late. Girl, what are you doing out this late? Are you sure you're playing game? And I'm just here like, Mom, I'm sorry. Please, if you want to come, you can come and see.
Yeah.
You can trust me. And then she's like, why would I be going there at 3 a.m. in the morning? I'm like, okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, see, my parents were a bit more lax. They're like, I was just like, oh, I'm getting paid for this. Like, oh, okay, go.
As long as you're getting paid.
Yeah. So, well.
My
Never
mom was
happened.
like, no money is enough to get you to come back at 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm just here like, you right. But still, I need the money anyways.
I need the
And I like games.
Exactly. So, it was pretty fun. And the thing is, at that point, I was getting tired because I was like shouting on top of my lungs. I couldn't even get a toilet break.
Ooh.
So when you came in, I'm like, perfect. I can get a small break.
yeah, and then like he brought in like food and whatnot. I was like, huh. And he
Like-
shared it with me.
Yeah, I'm like, finally, I can have dinner. That was literally the case. Like, I was just talking and everything, and like
In a small
closet
server
room, and then like no food, no drinks, no nothing. I mean,
Just pure
I could
isolation.
just walk out and say, hey, you need a drink. Oh yeah, just take it from the fridge, and then he'll put it under like not the tab, but like as part of as part of like payment. But I was just like, come on, man, like. If you invite me, at least provide a little bit.
Can't relate. I get fed all the time.
Yeah, see, I didn't. That was the problem.
That was
We'll
like
talk
the
about that
one you
later.
want-
But you look like you're fit. That's
Yes,
fine.
thank you. I had to feed myself.
Ah, man.
So yeah, so the whole 2016 tournament, right? That 2016 gig was about I think 1 month plus. We were
Yeah, it was like
because
a couple
after
on
that,
and
then
off, on and off.
we did some on and off casting, right?
Yeah.
And it was not too bad. But we had Kasam Games. I think people can find it. It's under Cyber Time Facebook somewhere.
Yes.
Somewhere in
the
2016.
It's
yeah,
in the archives
it's in the
there.
archives.
It's in 2016. Just look for it. It's Polytechnic if you really want to find it.
Yes. Yo.
It was such a terrible.
Oh, I would want to take up.
I don't want to say it's a terrible setup. It was just more like the setup
Ghetto
was so.
setup.
It was such a ghetto setup because basically he prepared the person prepared like a bunch of templates and I had to basically fix everything in like on the fly. It's like yeah, it kind of works. I mean back then anyway, who really cares about production quality, so to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you just want to see games, and if there was some production and some effort, you'd be like,
Oh,
that's
I would
great.
do
That's
that.
cool.
Yeah. And then but that was my 2016 gig. Then I went up to overseas for work. And then
Nice.
that was the 2017, 18, 19, 20, and that was when.
That was my day.
That was yours.
Yeah.
And see, this is where I get annoyed because that's literally when esports in Brunei took off.
Yep.
Finally,
Again.
Yeah.
Took off again, and I'm like, why the hell did I have to leave when it takes off?
Why am I
Like,
not there?
Why am I not there?
I was the one who initiated it. Thank you very much.
Oh.
You can see who's the better caster here. Okay, like.
Anyway, no, because the biggest difference between the 2012, 2010 era versus the 2016 era is that in the 2010 era,
Technology.
this is
Yeah,
where a lot of
technology, honestly.
the OG players are at least about 30 years old now, right? Sorry to
Yeah.
make you guys feel old.
So
but
are you-
This is where I'm not 30 yet.
Okay.
So this
Yeah.
is no, I'm not there yet actually. So a lot of these OG players, right? These are back at that time in 2010 when
Yeah.
you're like 18, 19s, right?
Mhm.
So this was their golden age, and
Yeah.
at that time, all of you were technically like in probably Form 1, Form 2, or even
Yeah.
Primary 6, right?
Yeah.
And yeah,
Much
You're-
younger
You're an
for this one.
exception already at this
Yeah.
point. So like for us, the golden days is it's a small community, right?
Yeah.
It's like what technically the Smash community or like the
Yo.
Tekken community in Brunei is right now.
Yeah.
It's a small group of just a few people always coming in.
Yeah.
Whereas when we hit 2012, it was basically the top people always play. Like we hit a point where I actually now remember why it stagnated in Brunei. In 2012 to 2015 is where basically it doesn't matter what tournament there is, you know which three teams are always winning and everyone
Yeah.
is
Yes.
motivated to join.
Yes.
and that's kind of why
exactly.
it went down, right?
Yeah.
But it's not their fault,
It
right?
really is.
If you're the best, you're the best. The thing is, it was just sad because back in the 2010 era, we knew that they were strong, but we would go in to test our strength.
Yeah.
Whereas in 2012, 2013,
Everyone
everyone was
knew.
just like, "Oh, what's the
Them
point of
again,
playing?"
yeah.
You know, it's just like, but what
Kalahati.
you know,
Kalahati.
there's a difference because if you're a gamer at heart, you join in for the thrill of the tournament.
Yeah.
You don't care if you. I mean, it's better if you win.
Yeah. Of
It's
course.
better if you win, but the thing is,
Of
you go
course.
for the thrill of that tournament to go in and experience that adrenaline because that's the adrenaline you get from being in a tournament is
Yes.
very different and even better if it's a live stage,
Yes, definitely.
right?
Because the pressure is definitely there.
Oh yeah, the pressure's
Yeah,
there,
like
but it's just like the adrenaline, you know, the fun.
The
because-
rush. Yeah. The
the
same
rush.
reason why the like X Games, you know, like when they go down the ramp, that
Exactly.
level of adrenaline rush, but it's a bit more contained at least for this one.
Yeah.
And you probably won't hurt yourself.
And
As
honestly,
much.
like most of our events is not as big as you can say like now.
Yeah.
ESL
That's true.
or Worlds or not even like LCS.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
Exactly. Well, that's true, but
Yeah.
you have to. Yeah, exactly. And then not to mention, well, talking about stage size in 2012, you know, like if you even got like a slot in ICC, that was already
that
that
was
was
pretty
you
big.
know
It was
for
big
us
thing,
at that
yeah.
time that was big already because
Yeah.
the biggest event at that time was technically EACon because
Mhm.
we booked like a whole hotel hall
Yeah.
and then we took half of it and reserved it for games. Like
Yep.
that was like technically a big venue for
I
us back then.
was there, but that was like what for console games. Call of
Exactly.
Duty was there, so it was like
Yeah, then they had a separate console area too.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
like, oh, the console area is okay. This is cool. What do we register? What
Yeah.
else do we
Yeah.
play?
During
And I
the,
was like also
and
there.
then there's
for-
another group over there playing
Yeah.
card games too.
I was there for
That was
basic
my
mode
job.
as well. I was in the
upon a
Gundam
time.
area.
No,
Like,
I was.
that was so much fun.
We were the card fight Vanguard,
Vanguard,
the Yu-Gi-Oh
yeah.
section.
yeah, Vanguard. That was the big thing.
Yeah. That was a big thing back then. And but that was the tournament size, right? And then when you move to 2013, 2014, it kind of stagnates because not many people want to join.
Yeah.
So even if you host a big event, you're not even sure if people are going to join the tournament. So it's a big risk. No one's going to take it, right? Then 2015, 2016 is when the new generation comes in. And this is also when, I should be correct, this is also when ML enters the scene.
About
2016.
Is it?
20
much earlier.
26, no, but like ML becoming a big thing.
2017.
It's about 2016, 2017. Yeah.
Yeah.
So which is correct. So 2016 is when the new generation comes in, where everyone's kind of playing, where all the kids of back then who watch their older siblings play games would be old enough to start
Actually
playing
playing
on,
this
to
game.
have their own computer
Yeah.
to play it, because abang and kakak will
Hand-me-downs.
always hogging the
Yes.
PC, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like this is their chance to play. So there's a whole new generation of enthusiastic kids, kind of like we're gonna play and do everything. And then around this time is when
Copper
mobile,
days.
around this time was when mobile gaming became a thing too.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it was a whole era. So the cyber era kind of died. Cyber cafe era died, and then you have tournament organizers becoming a thing.
Yeah.
Right. And it was easy for them to host tournaments because like if it's a mobile game, everyone has mobile.
Everyone has a
the
phone.
only thing you need to do is provide a venue or just say this is the lobby. Everyone join. When you win, come for cash prize.
Yeah.
Easy.
That's way easier than organizing the good old days of competition like League of Legends, CS:GO, Dota. Those tournaments are hard to host because you need 20 PCs.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it 10 PCs,
minimum,
but
yeah.
it's gonna be a very slow tournament, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you need 20 PCs to kind of double speed it up.
Yes. Yeah.
And with mobile gaming, right? As long as everyone shows up with their phones, you don't have to do anything.
Nothing. Just give them the lobby. Give them the password.
Give them Wi-Fi, you're done.
Exactly.
And the refreshments, maybe,
Refreshments.
if needed, depending on the venue, right?
Yeah.
Have you guys ever attended events other than the ones in Brunei? Like gaming events?
Abroad.
Yeah,
I have.
abroad.
Yeah.
What was the experience with that? Like, what is the event that you have attended?
I've attended World Electronic Sports Games.
Oh,
As
yes,
a-
it's pretty recent as well, right?
I attended the one in 2018 back when I was still a player.
Yep.
2019 I was just a manager for the teams. 2018 the event, it was the very first WestG event in Southeast Asia, hosted in KL, Quill City. They had the whole floor of the Quill City Mall dedicated to the event.
One day.
So basically you had like one area of the floor for open games. So there was Beat Saber. That time Beat Saber was
Yeah,
a
that
like,
it was
a big
popping
thing.
off.
it was
Yeah.
popping off.
Yeah.
And
Still
then
is.
I mean
Yeah,
but
Beat
that
Saber
was
is fun.
that was when like VR just started
Oh, yeah.
peaking, yeah. And then there was a place for that. There were cosplayers, and then the game ambassador for the event was actually Dato Siti Nurhaliza.
Really?
Yeah.
Yo, that's cool.
I remember that now.
So I remember her just singing over there, and then we had
yeah,
like
there were
we
So,
had-
like,
performances. Yeah,
she was performing live.
yeah, she was
Yeah, yeah,
performing
yeah. Man,
live. I
that's
even took
super
a
cool,
photo
yeah.
with her. She's like, she's like a head different from me.
I mean, you're
Yeah.
pretty short, to be fair.
I mean, yeah.
But like, I didn't expect that different,
Yeah, Siti Nurhaliza, like, Dato, like,
Yeah, and then she was singing while the cosplayers were dancing behind her.
Yo.
You should see the dude in the ghillie suit going handbrake dancing there while Siti Nurhaliza was singing. It was a really good sight. Then like while she was singing over there, there were 10 other countries that attended.
Right.
So aside from Malaysia, so 9 other countries. They attended the event. Most of them couldn't speak Malay. So Dato was actually singing a Malay song, and everyone just took out their phones like, we're gonna
support
Yeah, we're gonna
it.
vibe
we're
anyway.
gonna vibe anyway.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So so another section of the place would be for the games off the stage. So basically the games on the stage would be semi-finals to the grand
The
finals.
big ones.
So most of us were like at the other section. The main stage was closed until day 3 and 4, if I'm not mistaken. So during day 3, day 4, they had like a stage all to themselves, 5 PCs, the 3 LED screens on the stage. So one is the main game, one is their country flag and their portraits. And then in front of their PC, they had screens also of their faces, so you could see the
The
faces
player-
that
Yeah,
they
the
make,
player
how
camera.
how
Player
serious they look, how panicked they are,
Yeah.
and then like there are cameras rotating all around the place. The one that like go from
with
the
the
ceiling.
rigs?
Oh,
Yeah.
the cranes.
Yeah, the crane
Yeah,
thingies.
I get that.
Yeah, they
Super
were
cool.
all there, and then we were just sitting there. They handed out some goodies to like make the place more
Yeah.
hype. No, they handed out like those clapper things.
Oh, like the,
Yeah, they handed those clappers. They handed like those little whistle thingies. So you're supposed to like make
Make noise,
noise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make noise, yeah.
And then even the like one of the higher ups of West G. So West G is actually based in China.
Oh.
So he was there to give a speech as well in pure on mainland Chinese Mandarin.
Yeah.
And he had a translator there who couldn't speak English well either.
Oh no.
So we're just here like,
You go!
Yeah.
Yes, we just wanted to finish and like continue on with the games.
Yeah.
Thank
it,
you.
it was really hyped. And then when the grand finals were over, confetti started spraying the whole hall.
Wow, that'd be so
Wow.
Oh,
cool.
that's so much cleanup.
That's so
It
much
is.
fun, but like that's so
Sorry,
fun.
I'm always just thinking like, how do I
as
clean
an,
up
as
the
an
mess?
organizer, that is
Exactly.
So it was amazing. And then we had like a lot of free times as well. And then
Right.
for tournaments, since in Brunei we don't have tournaments that invite international players yet unless it's on their own funds.
Yeah.
This one we had our tickets bought for us. We had transport, we had meals, we had our hotel stay as well. So it was quite
Yeah.
different from something we see in Brunei. Brunei, you have to resort to your own transportation method and all that.
Yeah.
Right.
This one, you have to be awake by 7 a.m. in the morning.
Whoa.
Check in by 8. Your game is at 1, but you still have to check in at 8. So you're gonna have
Yeah,
to
but
be
it's a full proper
you
tour.
have to
Lurking
be
the
a
area,
ghost
yeah.
somewhere.
And people say our check-ins are a while.
Our check-ins in Brunei usually are
For
like
Brunei
half an
standard,
hour to an
it's a
hour
while,
before
I
your
know.
Which is good, you know?
It's
Yeah.
good. You have to check in early in the morning at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Everyone has to check in like every game, no matter what time your game is, even if it's
8.
at night, it has to be at 8 so that they know that your team is there and ready for the tournament.
What a precaution.
Yeah.
You have to be back at the hall by like 1 hour before your game in
Okay.
case the previous game
Yeah.
finishes early.
Yeah.
And then like you have to be on standby. And then you know those technical issues and everything. They
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
a lot of marshals for that because West G is
It's a premium tournament.
it's a
you know? It's a
premium.
fully
Yeah.
staffed
Sorry.
thing.
yeah. So when to qualify for the tournament, you have to play from your country's online or
Yeah.
even sometimes
We have our
LAN,
own,
right?
yeah.
So there are players that don't make it but still want to be there for the event. They will come over and help out,
Oh.
which is great to see because they have
Yeah.
like the sportsmanship
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
it. Like
that-
even though we didn't make it, we still want to be part
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
event, you know.
That sense of community.
Yeah.
Bring everyone together, yeah.
And the community there is much larger than what we have here.
Oh, yeah,
It
for
makes
sure,
more
for
sense,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with the population and whatnot. So that would make
A lot more
much more
lively
sense.
too, yeah.
Yeah, but every year you can see like different faces coming out
Yeah.
for like their tournaments.
Exactly.
Ours, you can see probably the same 50 faces.
Yeah.
And probably
That's
like
so
2-3 people extra.
Yeah.
And then like even if you don't see like newer people, you hear like old people coming back out, you know.
For sure.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
I have a couple
You saw that.
I have a couple of friends in the CSGO gaming community. They have wives, they have kids. I'm talking about kids. There's one dude with like 5 kids.
He
Sorry
brought
if
all
you're
5 in?
watching. Yeah,
Ah,
his
Hell
wife
yeah,
and his
yeah.
kids were there for the tournament. And the
Yo.
other day, actually during the DST carnival, so the kids were like, "Quiet!"
That's so
So it was
cute.
so cute.
Yeah.
And I'm just here like, but how do you manage to take care of all 5 kids and
And play games.
and play games at the same time? So sometimes it's just like amazing to see how they can multitask and be able to pull it off. You know,
Definitely, definitely.
I mean, if anything, it's like personal growth for them as well.
I
right?
can't even take care of myself. And you
How-
want me to take care of someone
Ding,
else?
ding, 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 ding.
Oh boy. Because
So
like,
here you have it first. You have to know how to take care of her if you want to try and date her.
Yeah.
oh boy.
Time management.
Yeah, because I feel like
Self-care.
I don't know, for players like those, they have a long time. They've been playing for so long. I think like the experience is there as well.
No, but even if you play for a long time, it's more like if you play at the extremely high level, right? You still need a level of maintenance to
Yeah.
keep up in
Constant,
terms of practice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So which means that the really good people, if they have a family and they still stay at the top, that's you
next
gotta
level.
respect them because
Yeah.
like
For
they
sure,
balance
yeah.
the work because they gotta earn money for
Yeah.
kids. They
Yeah.
gotta balance work. They gotta balance wife. Gotta balance kids. Then they got time to still play at the top.
Like that's how good is that? Like what level good rank? Let's say if he has a rank.
That's a lot of time management, man.
Probably top 5 Brunei.
Oh boy.
All right.
Top 5 and he has 5 kids.
Top 5, so 5 kids.
Yeah.
Imagine if he had 1 kid. Probably he'll be
Number
the
one, yeah. Number one in the
See, that was your mistake, man.
You had 5 kids. Should have had 1.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Ethan? No? have
In
not
what
been
way?
any. Well, not
Kids?
kids. Whoa,
Whoa,
calm
Kids
down,
are
bro.
married.
Calm
Kids
down.
I don't even know about. Okay, there's none hiding. Okay, let's go.
There's your wife. Wait.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Oh!
Anyway.
Anyway, experience, tournaments somewhere else, not in the
Abroad.
Brunei city. Abroad. You've been studying abroad.
Okay, so
For, like,
I've
a
been
while.
to one of the tournaments in Akihabara, which was nice.
What tournament was it about?
It was LJL. For people who didn't understand, this is League of Legends Japan.
Oh!
So this was when League of Legends Japan server just came out 2013, somewhere there, and 2014, 2013, and then they were having the LJL. So
Yeah.
for people who know League, you know the LCS, you know the
Yeah.
LC, you know
LCK,
LPL,
yeah,
LCK, blah, blah. So
LCK.
Japan's version is called LJL.
Yeah.
I think it's still the same name.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I attended one or two events. It was not too bad. It wasn't like a big tournament, but it was a gathering, right? And
So
it
how,
was
sure.
how big would you say? Like
it was a relatively decent venue, I would say. It's not like too big, but it's a small studio-ish.
Yeah.
And the best way is like for anyone who's been to Japan, if you've been to like Akihabara and you go and watch AKB48, where they have that their little stage where they perform like almost
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
It's about that size as a
That's
venue
not
itself,
too
and
big,
then you
yeah.
stretch it a little bit bigger for more spectators, and that's
Okay.
kind of the size of it,
Okay.
right? For people who do not know what I'm talking about,
Maybe
it
use
is-
ICC as a reference.
for ICC, it's about the size of a small meeting room, I would say.
Oh.
About one meeting room.
Yeah,
I would
one
say,
big
about
meeting
one
room,
big meeting
yeah.
room. Yeah. And that wasn't too bad because that was when it just kicked off. So
Yeah.
you're not expecting a lot of people to show up too because it literally debuted a few months ago. So to have a few hundred people at the event was pretty big. And
Yeah.
then I've been to. No, I didn't go to Dota 2 International in Canada.
Was never played Dota.
No, but I was
gonna.
I was thinking about attending it, right? I've been to some other like small indie events, not too much, but and then if specifically talking about casting though, it's more like you will never find the casters because the casters are always in this little secret room
Yeah.
or like another stage
So
because
what
sound
you did-
isolation.
Yeah, sound
Right.
isolation and whatnot.
So you
External
either have a
audit.
separate studio for your casting people, or you have like they're on stage and they have a lot of expensive noise isolation.
Yeah.
I wish we had that.
Same.
Mine has been so open space. There are times where I'm casting and then there'll be this person that just creeps on by, just
Yeah,
looking
just
at
walks
what I'm
by
thinking.
like, what?
What the-
What is that?
Ah.
Can I be on the team? Yeah.
So
Like I wouldn't mind if they did that.
Yeah.
Like probably if
A
I'm
good
on stage
distance
and then
away.
they're at a distance away.
Yeah.
But this is like right behind my chair, just like
Oh, wow, that close, huh?
I'm just here like, excuse me, we're
I'm
recording.
working.
We're recording here. Could you
So, like-
please back off?
Yes.
yeah, thank you very much. And like sometimes like because like the mic quality and all the production gear is actually
Exactly.
high end, super duper expensive, like maybe 5-6 figures sort of like.
No, well, you don't need that. Oh, you mean if you're talking about those international?
Production,
Yes, but
those
like
international
on
ones.
our side, we don't need that
We don't have
expensive
to.
gear. We just need the correct gear for the correct situation. Right?
Correct.
Which, honestly, I would say we just need a lot of soundproofing foam
Yeah.
because we just kind of need to set up some soundproofing foam for the caster area.
Yeah, for sure.
It will take away a lot of the background noise. that we
Like
have.
what we
yeah.
have.
Exactly.
So yeah, in regards to equipment, I feel like what you said was correct. Having the correct equipment during the correct time, but there are times when you have to produce at the live setting.
Exactly.
events.
So
That
the
really
idea is
kind
if
of
you
hard,
can
yeah.
jury rig some soundproofing, then
Yeah.
generally your problem is solved right
Blankets.
there. Yeah, blankets. The
So like when you're
soundproof foam.
casting, just like
Just cover yourself when you're
like,
casting.
oh,
Just put a blanket over it. Like those cube stalls, not those square stalls that they
Yeah.
always have
Yeah,
the little
yeah.
curtains. We just put one for ourselves so
Exactly.
that people just don't look at us.
Yes.
That'd be nice.
So like we won't get bothered, so no one will be creeping up on you at the
Yeah.
back.
Exactly. No one
So,
steps on the cameras and all that. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully no one's.
Has that happened before?
What?
We've had a
Like
lot of camera
disconnected the
bumping.
cameras because someone.
Well, no, but the camera angle goes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Woo!
Just goes.
Look at this guy.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, why is the
That is a
camera
very
looking
nice
upwards?
ceiling.
So yeah, I guess that's like some of the stuff that I feel like tournaments can improve on, especially in Brunei.
Yeah.
Not just like audio equipment and probably some more on the live production sort of vibe.
Yeah, we can
Just-
talk more about that later.
Yeah, we can definitely talk more about it sometime later. But yes, I think this is what we're gonna end for episode number 5.
Yes, five.
Five.
You got it right this
Hey, I
time.
can count. I want 10 opinions. So yes, episode number 5, we're gonna end it for today. We talked about, what did we talk about? We talked about
We talked about mostly history and
Yeah,
how
Brunei
tournaments
esports
happen in
history.
Brunei.
Yeah.
Well, mostly from the League of Legends perspective.
mostly from
people
League of Legends
people from the
perspective.
CS:GO and Dota people might want to kill me, but my memory's not good there.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of Dota tournaments back then.
And
There
CS:GO.
was a lot of CS:GO tournaments.
There was a lot of 1.6
Yeah, there were
tournaments.
actually a lot of
So,
1.6 tournaments.
I
not
remember
involved in
1.6
any of that.
zombie servers. That was so much fun.
Can't relate.
What? It's not that old.
So
I only
old.
started
No, she wasn't
playing
playing
Counter-Strike
that.
Global Offensive.
Oh,
She started
that
from
makes sense.
Geo, so
Ah,
we were like the 1.6
Yeah,
people.
because
Yeah.
the zombie.
Because the zombie server was so
we
cool.
played together once before too. It was so
Yeah.
good.
But yeah, that's been us. That's
Yeah.
been me, Z, Kai, Coco, and Ambrosine. So as always, see you guys again in the next episode. We'll be talking about some more stuff
We'll be talking about commentary this time.
properly.
We promise.
Bye bye.